Hey guys. Hi. If you don't know me, I'm Esme. Welcome to Random Acts of Esme. And trying out a new thing here where I speak with my mic instead of video. Just to change things up, I guess. It This was completely random. This was completely intuitive. So everything I say here is going to be from the heart and off the wall. And yeah, so we're just going to get into it. I have not been recording as much as I wanted to because I have made some decisions that involve very intuitive behavior and a lot of my focus and energy. And because of that, I found it hard to come to you guys with the level of, what's the word? It's not genuine authenticity. I found it really hard to come to you guys with the level of authenticity that I am used to sharing with you. So I just didn't record for a bit, but here we are. Okay, maybe you guys can hear me a little softer now. Maybe it's not so harsh on you. I think I'm going to stick with this for a second. And like I said, please bear with me because I don't usually record this way. So as I said, I've been making some conscious decisions that involve a lot of my focus and a lot of my energy. And if I can't come to you authentically, then I'm a person that I don't like to put a lot of planning in what I do with my channel. I like to speak from a very intuitive space, a very honest space, kind of sharing where I'm at and meeting the listener, meeting the viewer where I'm at. And if it resonates, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So that kind of brought me to a space of let's pause. Let's not share until we know that we are sharing with intention. However, that being said, it started to feel like procrastination. So I'm recording. Something I have noticed recently is realizing how much I get into my own head, my own thought patterns of just everything, every decision I make, every desire I have, goals I have. Most of the time, the hater is not someone outside of me. The resistance, the challenge is not someone outside of me. I am observing that the challenge for me is usually my thought patterns. And I've been able to go through, there's waves. So it starts with a lot of like just stormy thought patterns and really self-loathing, perfectionist, lack thinking. And then it goes into, wait a minute, I don't have to think this way. Is this even my thought pattern? Where did this come from? And then it cycles into, let's just choose something different. However, I have noticed that those thought patterns can be very tormenting. And I don't know if it's because I have ADHD that I tend to think this way. I don't know if like I live in my head, right? So how would I know if other people also have moments where they can hear every single thought in their head? Like I wake up from the moment I start my day to the time I go to bed, my thoughts are I can hear every single one. And I'm not sure, I think it was my daughter that told me that there are some people that don't have that experience. It may not have been her, but I find those people to be very lucky. I'm gonna play with this mic for a second, so hang on. Okay, I think we're figuring out a good space here that sounds well. So I think this sounds a little better. If you guys in the comments have any suggestions, let me know. I just have a little simple Yeti microphone, so nothing crazy. But back to what I was saying. I'm aware that there is a chance that some people don't ever hear their thoughts at all. And that must be incredibly nice because I am constantly in my head. So I've found ways to get out of my head. I find that part of the reason I practice yoga, part of the reason I work out, and has started practicing qigong recently. I practice qigong every morning, is mainly to get myself out of my thoughts. I've also found that if I notice myself overthinking or spiraling into thought patterns, that sometimes it helps to just do something different, even if it's not working out. Like if I'm in a panic, if I'm having an active panic attack, sometimes I actually go and I will study. And even if it's for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, it will take me out of that thought pattern and into an action, because awareness, what you're focused on, your perspective is your power. I've said that many times. So if my awareness, if my focus is on my thought patterns, then I'm creating more of that experience. So I may not be able to consciously stop overthinking, but I can stop focusing on it. And I'm surprised it wasn't a skill that I was taught as a child, to learn where to shift my focus. And like they teach you, what is it called? Time management. They teach you how important it is to start a task and spend 30 minutes to an hour on said task until it is complete. But they don't teach you what to do when your thoughts get loud. That's something most people learn as an adult. People learn the art of meditation, yoga, and mindfulness typically as an adult. Now, I know this is not everyone. However, this was my experience. So I have found it very challenging, especially now with the decisions I have been making for my life and my goals, to get out of my head. It's like, say you decide you're going to move, right? And you're like, I'm moving. And some people are like, oh, I'm moving. I'm going to do this step, this step, this step, this step, and this step, right? And they just do it. They just execute. Whereas for me, I decide I'm moving and it goes, well, how am I going to do this? Well, where's that going to come from? And before I know it, I'm completely overwhelmed. And I'm either in my room crying or doing a power flow or or talking my way through it with my therapist, and it becomes way bigger than it has to be. And like I said, this is all just coming off the cuff, guys. So if it resonates, great. If it doesn't, thanks for listening anyway. This is really just for me to test out this microphone and hold myself accountable, because I want to be consistent with checking in with you guys and making sure that you're good and sharing what's going on with my life, because I realize that a lot of my motivation comes from people who do what I'm doing right now. They make themselves present and vulnerable, be it through Instagram videos or YouTube, and I sit and I watch those, and they're just sharing their life, and something they say or something they do helps me. So I'm holding myself accountable for a goal I have, which is to stay consistent with you guys, and I'm doing that by sharing like I am now. I wish I could tell you of the decisions and the goals that I have, and at some point I will tell you, but right now I am being intuitively led to keep it close to my heart and keep it to myself. However, since making these goals, it seemed like my life got internally more scary, internally more challenging. And at first I thought it was the outside world that was the challenge, but it's really not. It's my thought patterns. It's almost as if the transition I'm deciding to do has shaken up so many conditioned beliefs that I didn't even know I had, so many narratives that I didn't know were there. And in order for me to reach those goals, I'm having to look at those beliefs and replace them with something new. And that is easier said. I have found myself returning to more consistent meditation in my day. I find that consistent meditation during my day is really helpful. And instead of doing long 30-minute meditations, doing 5-minute meditations in little bursts throughout my day. So I'll start my morning out before I get out of the bed, the 5-minute meditation. Then I'll go through my day. If I find myself overthinking, I'll pause and maybe do 2 to 5 minutes more of meditation, be it guided or just breathing. And then at the end of my day, if I feel a little buzzy or overthinking, I will add in a third. But I find that it helps me return to the fact that even though my head is noisy, I don't have to let it be so loud that it breaks me. And I'm wondering if I'm the only one who experiences this, or if there are other listeners out there, others of you out there who experience this too. And I used to think it was a flaw. I'm not sure anymore. I actually don't care if it's a flaw, because I mean, we all have flaws, right? But it would be nice. I have this goal of getting to a place where I can have these thoughts and they come up when I make a decision, and I make the decision anyway. So that's what I've been doing is, okay, I have this goal in mind. We're going to go back to the analogy of moving. So, okay, I'm moving, and yes, there are like 500 thoughts in my head that are anxious and overwhelming and telling me all the reasons why I shouldn't move, or I'm not ready to move, or how it's going to go wrong, or whatever, but I'm going to make a step anyway. And this goes back to what I said earlier about being my own hater. Not in the standpoint of legitimately, consciously hating on myself, but there's a version of me that came from somewhere, I don't know where, and I don't know when, but I have observed a version of me that the moment I decide I want to do something is completely against it. Is completely telling me all the reasons I cannot do it, or why it won't work, or why it's too hard, or why it's too challenging. And I like to tell myself it's kind of like working out. Like, I don't always want to work out. I don't always want to do yoga. I don't even always want to do qigong or meditate, but I do it. I do it because 2 reasons. It teaches me consistency. It teaches me to show up for myself even when I don't feel like it. And usually after I do it, I feel better. Sometimes that workout's just a walk. Other times, I go crazy. I go crazy, go hard, do a full session. But I don't know if it's considered learning how to be human, or if it's considered, pushing past the hater, the inner critic. I don't know if it's called the inner critic, but I have decided not to let the storm of thoughts be so overwhelming that it breaks me from reaching my goals again. I said to you guys in a video recently that, or maybe I didn't post it, I'm not actually sure. So I'll say it this way. I came to the conclusion recently that I'm pretty sure the reason I have these thoughts of why it's not going to work and how I can't do it or how it could go wrong, the reason I have these thoughts is because it's going to go great. Because I'm doing something challenging. I'm doing something that is taking me out of my comfort zone, and that's good. Because you don't grow if you're comfortable all the time. Like a plant that stays in a pot for 10 years gets root bound. You have to move it from that pot into another so that it can grow. And at first, the plant might get weepy. It might be stressed out. It might have the leaves fall off. But eventually it settles in and it expands and it grows and it blooms. And so that's kind of how I've decided to start looking at these thought patterns. Yeah. So if you happen to have moments like this, you're not alone. I have them too, and I'm sure there are many of us that do. And I'm learning to embody what Guru Muji says. He says, let them be there. It is observed. And it was easier when I was just doing it in meditative form, when I was just like meditating and, you know, my mind would be noisy and I'd let the noise be there. But when it became like in my daily life, like active decision making, and the noise was there, letting it be there was a totally different totally different thing at that point. But I'm taking it one day at a time. And so if you happen to have a thought pattern of an inner critic or your own inner hater, do it anyway. Do it anyway. Do it scared. Do it confused. Do it unsure. Do it when the noise is loud. Do it anyway. And it doesn't have to be like this crazy thing. It could be a small step, but keep taking little steps because you're worth it. That sounds so cliche, but you are. You're worth it. And you're only going to be in this body once. Like, I don't want to scare you. I don't want you to think that, like, oh no. But, like, this form that you've been given, this blessing of life that you've been given, this version of it, you're only going to have once. We don't know what happens after this. Like, we say we know, but the only ones that really know are the ones that have left the body. So, that being said, why not do all the things you have in your head regardless of what your own inner hater tells you? I feel like some of this I've said before, and I guess that's okay because this wasn't really about doing anything other than testing out my new microphone and holding myself accountable. So thank you for listening to my intuitive ramble, my friends. Hopefully I'm not even going to say hopefully. I plan to do many more of these. And we'll just see where it takes me. You are doing an amazing job. I am so very proud of you, my friend. You are loved. You're amazing. You're unique. There's only one of you in the entire universe. Like, sit with that. Hold on to that today and go out and make today beautiful on purpose because it is a blessing you have been given. I love you. Namaste.